Another one.
What do I need to have in my portfolio as a QA? I am planning to move from mobile manual testing to QA web and mobile. What do I need slash want to have on GitHub to what in the world did somebody just Thank you so much, Roderick, for signing up to the channel, for subscribing. I truly, truly appreciate you. All right. So thank you for, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat and I will make sure to address your questions as soon as I am done with this question. All right. So let's get back to that question. It says, what do I need slash want to have on a GitHub to show that I have a good understanding of automation? At the moment, I have almost 2 years of experience. Cool. So I am supposing that you have 2 years of experience with automation QA. So all right, let's put the 5 minutes up, right? I would say one of the strongest things that you can have on your, which if you don't have it, right? Like, let's say I was reviewing it, I wouldn't count it against you. But if you do have it, I would give you some. I'll give you like some points on that. Like, okay, cool, great, right? And it doesn't even have to be perfect, right? But I would say if you were to build a framework, right? It doesn't have to be super fancy, but if you can build a framework that you can, all right. I'm gonna tell you what would impress me, right? So if you build a framework and you have it, like let's say you do it in Java, you can do it in Python, whatever you do it in, right? But you have it where it is reusable across multiple projects, right? So, and it's not that you're just copying that same framework into the different projects. No, no, no. If you have that framework where it's, let's say it's like a Maven repo where you can import it, like you, because I've seen it. Bonnie Garcia's WebDriver manager, right? That like where you can pull it in from GitHub as a Maven repo. So let's say you do it like as a Maven repo where you can pull it in to any project, right? So let's say any automation project you start, you can just pull in that repo, and then you can use it from there and go from there. That I'd be very, very impressed by that, right? And same thing if you do it as a Python package as well, where you can pull it in. That would be super, super impressive, because that is no small feat where you can have the same project work across multiple, or the same framework work across multiple projects, right? So, and then it's what do you have as part of that framework? So maybe you have accept reports, right? If you're doing Java, where it can generate like these nice looking reports and stuff like that. Maybe you have a way for it to connect with report portal, right? Maybe you have it logging or something like that. It just depends on what the features that you have of it, right? So I'll say definitely that would be something that I would be like, okay, wow, that is pretty impressive, and I would definitely want to hear more about that project. And to add to your portfolio, if you had, I would like to see like your page object manager, right? Like, or not page, your POM, right? So like I want to see how you set that up, your selectors, if you're using the page factory, things like that. I would want to see how those look. That would definitely be something to be, to look into. I would want to see what else would I want to see in a portfolio? So I would want to see, definitely I want to see some example of test cases that you've written, some example of defects that you've written. We use QE test case management system to set up via Docker, to set that up so that we could document our test cases, our test executions, our defects. And that would be a good thing to show in an interview, right? Like a lot of times people like put their GitHubs on their resumes and stuff like that. 9 times out of 10, a recruiter, the hiring manager, is not necessarily going to look at it. The technical interview might look at it, but it depends, right? But I would say that you need to use your resume as a talking point in an interview, right? Where not you said your resume. You need to use your GitHub as a talking point, right? So you can say, "Oh yeah, and I built this portfolio," and they're like, "Oh, like what do you mean by a portfolio?" And you can say, "Okay, if you go to my GitHub and you look at this I created this framework here. So you can check out my selectors here, and you can walk them through the code and stuff like that. You can show some Docker stuff. You can show some Terraform. All that stuff that you do, that is part of your portfolio. Put it in GitHub. Remember, don't push up any AWS secrets. You don't want your thing hacked, but you want to put all of those things out there so that you can use them to talk about in resumes. Like if you start throwing out words like, "Oh, I use Docker," like in an interview, right? In a technical interview, like, "Oh, I use Docker." "Oh, I use like Google Cloud Platform developer keys. I use AWS." Like, and you're saying, and you can articulate how you use them, how you made them. Like, then it's going to be like, "Wow, this is pretty impressive. I want to hear more about this person." And then like they're going to ask you questions, and you're going to be able to answer them because you actually use these things. Because like for me, I can talk about AWS Amplify, I can talk about Terraform, I can talk about Fargate, I can talk about every single thing that we've done on these live streams. I can talk about them, right? Are they going to be the cleanest? Not necessarily, but I am comfortable enough to talk about them. Like, "Oh, I use Fargate for serverless containers. Oh, I use Amplify to deploy an application. Oh, I use Terraform to build infrastructure around the application. I use Terraform to set up EC2 instances." Like so many things you could talk about. I compared Python to Java, one of my earlier streams, right? And I did side by side automation of Uber Eats, right? So many different things you could talk about, but the purpose of the portfolio is not to just showcase your work. It is for talking points in an interview. Like, I cannot stress that enough. You need to be able to bring up the work that you did. You need to be able to show your work in these interviews. And you say, "Oh yeah, and I did this, I did that, I did that." Like one of the things I used in a prior interview was, "Oh, I used Google Sheets as a data provider, right, for my automated tests, so that I didn't have to use an Excel sheet hard coded. So like now when I make a change in the Excel sheet, I need to commit it. No, I can just pull that data from a Google Sheet, and it's totally externalized, and people can add to it, edit to it, make backups of it and stuff like that, right? So that to me is how you properly set up your resume for your portfolio for interview stuff, right? So just wanted to share that. Hopefully you find that helpful.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.